Hey, welcome to the Third Tuesday Conversation, our December edition. Thanks for joining us. My name is Danica Montplaisir, and I'm excited to have you with us today. December 20th, hard to believe. But we are excited to have Michael Sladek here chatting with us about being creative. We want to say a special thanks to Trinity Lutheran College for underwriting 3TC. We're really glad to be in partnership, and hopefully in future months we'll have them come on and talk about why they decided to be in partnership with 3TC. But for now, we just want to make sure that everybody knows that we're so thankful for their partnership. As I said, we've got Michael Sladek with us from Impression Media Group. As we move forward in the conversation, we want it to be a conversation that's over coffee and interactive, so I hope that you've grabbed a latte or your favorite soda, I don't know, and are ready to engage Michael in this conversation. Michael, thanks for being with us today.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
Good. Well, before we jump into your fun little refresh idea here, wondering if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and your work and maybe your holiday plans.
Sure. Oh, okay. Myself, if you go to the next slide, it has a little mini resume, what I've been doing the past 20-some years. So currently I'm self-employed, Impression Media Group, and I wear a number of hats. I'm a designer, so I do print and web stuff. I'm becoming more and more of a photographer. Got my first camera in 8th grade, which is many moons ago. And just recently I've started teaching at a local community college digital photography class. So lots of different things, keeps me busy, keeps me energized.
Great.
Before that, I was a graphic designer in a little company here in Issaquah, Washington. It's the Mayberry of Seattle, I like to call it. And did that for 7 years. Before that, I was a church youth worker at St. Andrew's Lutheran Church in Bellevue, Washington. And that's actually how I got into doing design. As we all know, with church youth work, we're basically a publishing house. Churches are publishing houses. You've got lots of material to get out. You got to tell people about stuff. So the photocopier's running, the stuff's on the bulletin board, all that stuff. So I had a Mac and taught myself how to use some programs and make my own materials because I can't draw. And the rest, as they say, is history. Here we are approximately 15, 20 years later, and I'm doing design full-time and loving it. So.
Great.
But I still stay connected to the church through the network primarily, through some involvement with other churches, do some logos and things like that. And you asked about holiday plans. For the holidays, for Christmas Day, we're going to my wife's family's house over in Bremerton, so we get to ride the ferry. Tugboat sound here. And that's about it. I get to prep for a new class I'm teaching next quarter, so it's a little bit of a break, but not a whole lot of time to just sit back and do nothing. So
it's good. Keeps you out of trouble.
Yeah, that's the theory. That's the theory. So this slide's showing a little bit of portfolio, some work I've done that you all may have seen if you're connected to the network at all. The Jesus Justice Jazz logo for the 2009 ELCA Youth Gathering, and then I've done the logo for the past 6 extravaganzas now, and hope to keep doing that because I love it. It's a fun group of people to be involved with. So that's the brief portfolio too. So what I'd like to talk about today, what I thought is what I call the 11 Commandments of Better Design. How to quickly make, to some tips and thoughts philosophically rather than necessarily real practical things. There are philosophies of how to make your stuff look better as you make postcards or put things on the bulletin board or work on your website or your PowerPoints or things like that. What things can you do so that they look more better? And of course, every list needs
more
to go
better.
to 11 because More better. Yeah, that's one of my phrases. And every list goes to 11 because this amp goes to 11. So
Okay.
everybody can do a list of 10. You got to do one more. So let's go to the first thing on our list here.
Just really quick, I started saying this.
Go ahead.
I started saying this and then started talking about lattes, and I got distracted. If if you all want to join in on the conversation, make sure you type your question or comment in the right-hand side of your screen. There's a question section, so you can be a part of the conversation. I started saying that and totally got railroaded. So, by my own thoughts, which is dangerous. Anyway, okay. Now back to
train is on a different track. Yeah.
the 11.
The 11, yes, number 1. So the first place you start is what's the story? What's the purpose? Why are you doing this? And what I like to do is come up with a really short phrase that helps you encapsulate the whole idea. So, for example, for this, if I had to put this presentation into a 3 to 7 word all-encompassing thing, and everything hinges on that, it's easy steps to better promo materials. So it's just, and everything we do from now to the end is going to be based on that. So if you're sending out a postcard, it should have one thing on it, one main thing. If you're putting stuff on the bulletin board, again, what's the one thing for each specific thing you're talking about? And we'll get a little more into detail on that, how to do that. But what's your story? What's the point? Why bother? If you don't know that, you can't answer that. Unfortunately, you're just putting stuff on a page or on a screen, and it's hard for your audience to know, why am I getting this? So, and it takes a little bit of time, though, to think of that. It's like, it's your thesis for, your story. If you don't have a point, unfortunately, it shows.
Sure.
But it takes a little bit of work, so a little bit of time. So invest that time up front. And if I was getting this, what's the point? And sometimes, if you have a little test audience of folks that can help you with that, if you show it to someone else in the audience, in your office, and they say, well, I don't get it, then obviously you need to go back to the drawing board. So that's point number 1.
Very good.
Commandment number 2, know your audience. Who's going to get this? You will do things differently if it's going to parents of the youth than you would if it's going to the youth. And you'd probably do things differently if it's going to maybe an elementary school age versus a high school age group. So you'll use different visuals, you'll use different verbals, different words. So know all that. Maybe that's obvious, but I think it's also really easy to forget as we repurpose things and just, I used this for this group last year and it's the same event, so now we're doing it for junior high, so boom, But no, it probably needs to be repackaged a little bit. And time has passed too, so what worked last year may not work.
Weird.
So I know, right? Time flies. Tastes change. Golly, the world moves very quickly these days. And that relates to commandment number 3, which is to...
Sorry.
That's all right. Creating unique documents for each purpose. And by that I mean, you can't, if you had this long Word document that's the materials for your a study guide for like a retreat or your curriculum, say, you can't just auto-convert that to a PowerPoint document. Or you can't just snag some of it and just cut and paste and put it right in a postcard. I mean, you can use elements from each of those things, but they have different purposes, so you need to tailor fit each document to what it's going to do. If you just put a ton of, copying and pasting a Word document into a PowerPoint presentation, just doesn't work. That leads to snooze fest, and that's a bad thing. It's a technical term, snooze fest, sorry.
Yes.
So be aware of what the document is. Is it going to be seen on screen? Is it a website? That's different than if you're holding a piece of paper in your hand. People tend to skim websites, whereas they'll tend to read more deeply into something that's printed on a piece of paper. So bullet points for websites, paragraphs for paper. I mean, that's really super simple and oversimplified, but that's a place to start. Really know what your document is. And if you've got a 4x6 postcard, you don't have a lot of room, so you got to get to the point pretty quick.
No 5-page essay on a postcard?
Well, you can, but then you got to ship a magnifying glass with it and let people,
right.
Read the fine print.
Expensive.
The secret decoder ring. Number 4 is develop a brand, and that sounds maybe scary, but it's pretty simple. When I was working at the church, what I did simply was I loved those really bright, Astra bright copy papers. So I'd have a different color for each of the different age groups, so they could quickly see, oh, this is my color, my thing. That's the start of a brand. Mm-hmm. So it's a quick visual cue to know what you're looking at and who it's coming from. If you have a logo, obviously put that on everything. If you want to color code things or have a certain style font you use for each different group, then be consistent with it. I use this image of the BMW here because we can tell a BMW now by their headlight style. And Audi did the same thing. It's just from a million miles away you can tell what car it is. Now everybody copied it, but when they first came out, they were very distinct. And that's what you want to be. You want to catch people's attention in their mailbox, on the bulletin board, on the website, on Facebook, wherever you are. You need to help people know, oh, as they're skimming through the 600 people they maybe follow on Facebook, they need a quick visual cue that, oh, this is from church. I need to pay attention to this. So that's the brand. Do things help. It's about consistency. It's about having some visual cues that let people know what you're all about.
Great.
So that's number 4. Number 5. Take time to prepare. I know that's that's hard to do sometimes, and you have to be gracious to yourself in the midst of everything else that's happening in life. But the more time you have to work on this stuff, the better. And maybe, again, that's obvious, but sometimes putting it on a list reminds us of the power of the obvious. If you have time, you can make edits. Otherwise, you're just getting the first drafts, and sometimes the first isn't the best. Rarely even, I might say. So you have time to revise. You have time to get feedback. You have time to make it more better. To use. I should trademark that, huh?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do. More betterer. I'll even add another ER on it, and we'll make it more betterer. So taking time. Again, in the busy schedule of, planning, how many events a week and how many writing curriculum and all the stuff that church work demands, it may be hard to find that time. Oh, and have a life. But
what's that?
If you don't spend, I don't know. But take the time for it, and not. Again, it's obvious, and maybe that's enough said. So, the more time you invest in it, I think that it shows, and it's the people on the other end, I think, generally can tell. And when they can tell that you've spent some time preparing something, they tend to invest more time in it themselves, and energy and engagement. So, one man's opinion, anyway. And this one is I wrote specifically for myself. Get away from the computer. As I mentioned earlier, as you're designing things and working on what do I do, how do I present this, and my first step is to always go to the computer, but sometimes when I'm doing that I get sucked into the design and I forget the story. So, get away. For me, again, when I was working at the church, a great place to get away is go sit in the sanctuary. Or if you need to get energized, go and maybe sit in the youth room if you have one of those. Just get into a different space and take a notepad and pencil or crayons, or find a whiteboard and just doodle or mark ideas down, sketch, even do something with your hands is a helpful creative thing to do. at times. But just, again, unplug yourself a little bit, go old school, maybe go to a coffee shop, but find a different space to maybe help those creative juices get going. So get away from the computer.
Cool.
And then number 7, when you're the older I get, which happens more frequently, it seems like every day, the more, for want of a better phrase, zen I get, in that embracing the simple, the essence, the less is more. So in regards to design, that means white space. And white space isn't just white, it's blank, it's empty, it's place for the eye to take a rest as it moves from point A to point B, the who, the why, to the what, to the where, and the how. So as you design things, what's the focus visually? And again, that should support number 1, which is the story. So if I don't have if the page is full, there's no place for me for my eye to rest and naturally migrate through the page and find the points. I think an example of what not to do is if you look in the Sunday paper at the car section, all those starbursts and Sunday, 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 stuff. There's, where do I look? It's overwhelming, but on the other hand, that's a brand too, because it's a car ad because there's all those starbursts on it. So it's a give and take thing. It's complicated, but I think an important thing again is to give your reader, your viewer, your audience a space to rest their eyes. Otherwise, it's just gray, and it's overwhelming, and it becomes not even a 1 minute looking at it. It becomes a quick trip to the circular file sometimes. So help yourself out, and again, that takes a little bit of work though, because you have to. And we'll get to that too in number 11. So. Let's go to number 8, though, because we're continuing the theme of the Zen stuff here. Know that less is more, and by that again, what's the main point? If it doesn't support the main point, it shouldn't be in this document. When I found a design quote I love, the question isn't, have I included everything I need to add? The question is, have I removed everything that doesn't need to be there? So not have I added everything, but have I taken away everything that just is there maybe because it looks cool, but it doesn't do anything? Or, it's one of, I spent 12 hours on this paragraph, and doggone it, it's going to make it in the document. But, well, yeah, it's cool, but it doesn't quite fit. So I understand that. I mean, we all have our pet things that we love. There's things I love to do in documents, but if it doesn't work, you got to kind of be ruthless and be your own first critic and say, nope, this one's got to go. It doesn't help the story. That doesn't help the essence of the document. And you don't have to throw the original document out. Here's a quick tip. Use the power of save as. So if you've got the busier one that's got a ton of stuff in it and you're not sure, go ahead and save as and make a new one and start taking stuff out of there. You can always fall back to the original if you need to either grab a piece or whatnot. But you don't have to just throw everything out. I'm a big fan of having multiple digital copies of things because sometimes you change your mind. So
the trick is always remembering what you saved it as, though.
Right. Well, what I do, like for example, for this presentation, I had a longer version, and I edited it. I still have the original, but this one's called short. I just added the word short to the file name. So just, you can add edit 1 or, less 1, and then if you're going to make multiple, how can I refine it even further? You can do less 2 or the least or something. That's how I do it. I just append an additional descriptor onto the original file name and keep it in the same location, and then that way I can find it theoretically relatively easily.
Sure.
It all works in theory. Ideas that sound good in my head. So. Let's move on to one of my favorite rules just because it's got the best visual. Number 9.
Did it
Number
come up?
9.
Oh,
There we go.
oh, we're just
Yeah,
a
I got it.
little delayed. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. The Spandex Rule, remember it. And here's the Spandex Rule. It's really simple. All of us could wear spandex, but just because we can doesn't mean we should. Especially as I get older every day, I really shouldn't wear spandex. I have the freedom to, but I also have the responsibility to be aware of what I'm doing to others. So let's translate that. Let's translate that to design and the things we're putting up on the bulletin boards and in the mailboxes and on the website. So, for example, that means minimizing the starbursts. Yeah, they're kind of cool, but after a point, they're just a distraction, and if you overuse it, they don't get seen. You need contrast. That means not making what I call the ransom note document with 50 fonts in it. Yeah, you have all 50 fonts, but don't use them all in one document. Again, it's just confusing. It doesn't help the structure. And a big part of readability is structure, and a big part of understanding is having a hierarchy. Here's the most important thing, here's the next important thing, and here's how I do what I'm supposed to do. So, and you help that with size and fonts, not necessarily adding more color or the sprinkle font or whatever. The sprinkle font. I just made that one up too. Sorry.
Sweet. You should design it later.
I have a friend who's a font designer. She's really good. But you don't want me designing fonts. No, thanks. So it's about keeping it simple, practicing restraint. Again, just because you have that thing, that really cool doodad in the wizard, in the program, maybe in the template, doesn't mean you have to use it. As you notice in this presentation even, it's a simple graphic, a short phrase, and a pretty simple layout, but it works, I hope. So it makes the point, make the point and move on. So having said that, let's move on to number 10. This is true specifically for when you're doing a presentation, if you're doing PowerPoint. Don't read every word that's on the screen. And I was thinking about that this morning. We do that, at least my church does it, in that we print the lesson in the bulletin, the whole lesson's in the bulletin, and then we read it. So I find myself usually reading ahead of the person who's speaking. So it's like hearing two voices, my voice and the person who's speaking. So what I do is I've started to read ahead. I'll read it before the service starts, read the lesson, and then just close my eyes and listen. We can't take multiple inputs. So if someone's reading something or speaking something and I'm reading it at the same time, we're generally moving at a different pace, so it just becomes noise. So don't read the words that are on screen. Just find a supporting graphic that maybe helps you, but not necessarily the whole paragraph or sentences. A short phrase is maybe what's best on screen. So again, that's specific for presentations.
So slide number 10 is what not to do.
Slide number 10 is a not to do, yeah. And some of the commandments are like that. Thou shalt not, All right, so the 11th commandment of better design stuff is editing. And by editing, I mean a couple things. Review it, refine it, revise it. What could be different? What could be better? What needs to go? What needs to be added? Maybe. And I think it's a good time for evaluation too. Is a good thing. Right after, like say for example, if you wrote curriculum for a retreat, maybe a day or two after the retreat, evaluate it. How did it work? Do I want to use this again? Or is this a one-off and, or I could tweak it a little bit, but don't wait till next year to look at it and go, oh, yeah, that worked really well, because maybe you think it did, but maybe it really didn't.
Sure.
And, as we talk about that kind of stuff, I think it's, now that I'm teaching again, I have to be careful not to just fall in the trap of, well, I teach this class 4 times a year for 10 weeks. I could just exactly reuse it, or does each class need something a little different? I'll start off, I think generally the way I do it is the first class is the same, and that kind of gives me a sense of the group, and then I start revising each individual lesson going forward based on what we did the previous time. I mean, I have an outline, but it needs to change depending on week to week.
Mm-hmm.
So, you can't just, again, that comes down to the time thing, though.
Sure.
You have to be willing to invest the time to make the edits to make it the best for the group. So, although I did cheat on that, I have to confess. I was, when the seniors graduated, I went, can I reuse that with the freshmen now?
Possibly.
Anyway.
So
those are.
That's great. Hey, I read something. I read something a couple weeks ago, which totally intrigued me, and I had brought it up to you, but I thought it might be good to share here. I read something that said, do you have 1 year, or do you have 15 years of experience, or do you have 1 year of experience that you've repeated 15 times? And I think that totally falls into, it can happen very easily to us in ministry of, pulling up the same letter that you've used the previous 4 years because it's already written and whatever. But sometimes I wonder if that contributes to our burnout rate, is because we ourselves are bored by what we just keep recycling and keep reusing. And so therefore we, have number of years under our belt, but essentially we're just repeating the same year over and over again. Do you have any thoughts on that?
And I think also related to that, I think related to that is it's a symbol. If let's say the parent of that has 2 kids in your program, I've seen this letter before. There's a symbol there that says, oh yeah, they just changed the dates.
Right.
Golly, it must be really busy, or it didn't take the time. I mean, they can interpret it different ways, but if they're paying attention, they know it's the same letter.
Yeah.
So then it says something to them, and like you said, it also it says something about where you're at. Gosh, I didn't have time for this. I didn't have energy for this, and that stuff's contagious and noticed. People know when you have energy and enthusiasm, and there's both obviously in how you present yourself personally, but also in the things you produce. We can't forget that we're producing tons of stuff, even more now. We're doing Twitter, we're doing Facebook, we're doing YouTube videos. My goodness, so much stuff that it's still about quality though.
Yeah.
And taking the time and doing our best, and not just recycling. Hopefully, I mean, there's times to recycle and reuse, because it worked really well, but again, you need maybe a little tweak and edit, something more than just changing the date. Even
if it's just for yourself sometimes, I think, for you to not get bored with what you're doing. It's not always necessary to recreate the wheel, but to help yourself be continually engaged, nice to kind of jazz it up a little bit.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Hey, we're running a little bit short on time. There are a few comments, people wondering if this will be available after the webinar, and the answer is yes. We archive all of our 3TC on the ELCA Youth Ministry Network webpage. You find that at elcaymnet.org /3TC. And so you can go back and listen to and watch any of the webinars that we've done together. Michael, thanks for taking time out of this busy, crazy time of the year to be with us and chat about a new set of commandments. We won't tell you.
Strong suggestions. Okay. Strong suggestions.
Great. I am just a couple of things before we go. Extravaganza 2012 is coming up very soon, February 9th through the 12th. We're closing in on 500 people who are registered, and so that's pretty exciting. But just a reminder that registration goes up the price goes up again in 11 days. So you're going to want to get yourself registered if you haven't done so already. In conjunction with the gathering, but not exclusive to those who are going to the gathering, I want to make you aware again of the January 8th Discipleship Project webinars that are going on. Tiger McClune will be here, or be on the webinar, excuse me, talking about planning for the unexpected, something we all need a little lesson in or reminder of. And our next third Tuesday conversation, January 17th, will be with Alexia Salutera. She will be also with us at the extravaganza, so it'll be fun to hear from her twice in a row. Michael, lots of things coming in saying that people are really impressed and this was really helpful. So
cool.
That's awesome.
And by all means, my contact info is there. If folks want to just ping me for an idea, or hey, I'm stuck on this, I'm glad to do some chat via email or phone or whatever. So
great. Well, we just want to say on behalf of Third Tuesday team and the Youth Ministry Network, thanks for joining us. Merry Christmas, and we'll meet again in the new year. Thanks, and have a great day, everyone.
Thanks.